who tried calling us and trying to give us the correct answer for the question. All right, so with that, it's time to speak to you about something very interesting. We told you on the Friday's edition of Rise and Shine, we would like to keep you more inspired and more motivated. Let me ask you a question. Do you want to be a winner? Yes, indeed. All of us, we do have goals and dreams in our lives to be that greatest person, isn't that so? So we have another great personality together with us today, and this is Mr. Farill Farook to speak to you about motivation and how we can be inspired in life. So he is a successful entrepreneur, a motivational speaker, a salesman, and a personality development coach, and holds over 15 years of work experience locally and internationally in inspiring people across the globe. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's great to have you on the show. It inspires us as well on the show right now.
Thank you very much, Buddhima.
And so tell us about mostly about the optimism and positive thinking, and how do you motivate people, and what is motivation mostly?
Motivation, I believe, is something comes within. How you see yourself, how you could from the morning, how you could be positive, how you could serve another person, how you could add value to another person. And it's all about inspiration, seeing the positivity even in the negative situations.
Sometimes it's not easy to be optimistic in life because life is an adventure and there are so many ups and downs. How do you see it, and how do you advise people to see the life in a different way?
Most certainly, it is how you condition your mind. If you start conditioning your mind with positive thoughts, even in negative situations, you can convert your negative thoughts into positive thoughts. It takes a bit of time, habit, and it becomes a practice. So it's good if you practice this from a young age. So children have this upper start. So with good values, good actions, they program themselves in a very positive way. So subconsciously, they are trained to be positive even in the most negative circumstances.
Right. So if you can you give us an example of such a situation? Because sometimes when you say you have to be thinking from the start about how to think positively when it comes to bad situations as well. It might be hard for the people to understand. But so if you can give a small example of how it can be.
I would say the term failure. A lot of people see it as a negative term, but actually, if you see it in a positive term, you can profit from the failure. You can learn something and use it for the next scenario. So life is also you use all your past experience, even some of these hardship that you went through, negative scenarios, challenges, and you use that to motivate yourself to rise above harder challenges. So it's a process in life that you discover yourself.
And actually there's nothing more powerful than having that greatness within you, I believe, to achieve your dreams and goals in life. So how do you think the role of responsibility play an important role in achieving your dreams in life?
Sure. In terms of leadership, motivation, everything begins with oneself. So if you want to lead others, first you have to realize how to lead within. That's called self-leadership. Self-leadership is not a broad topic. It starts with your home, with yourself, how you mingle with others, how you coordinate with your family, your friends, adding value. I would say even picking a nail from the road, the way you drive in the road, the streets, shows your leadership qualities. If you have that ability to serve another person, to add value to another person, that gives a difference between a winner and a loser. So responsibility should come from within, and it should be something that is ingrained, that you learn from each experience.
And also when we talk about the present day, when you talk about the family, I think how do you advise the parents really to guide their children? Probably I've seen certain parents, they have their dreams and goals in life. Let's say I want my kid to be a doctor, or I want my kid to be an engineer, and that pressure is put forward to the kid. So how do you see this in a different standpoint?
What I believe is, it's good to give children that opportunity to do something that they love. My program, which is Discover the Winning You, is all about 7 P's, which is helping someone discover their passion. That's the gift. Then you convert this gift into a purpose. So the other P's are, you have a plan, you should have the process, the personality, the presence, and how you build the overall success. So when it comes to parents, they should give children the opportunity to do something that they like. It's good to help them to have a personal goal for the children, but also they should encourage first to give children something that they love to do, so that they first try what they love, and so that they can enjoy what they do during the process. Otherwise what happens is they might do something for society's sake and they might not enjoy, which leads to stress, which leads to depression and few other things. So if you start by giving opportunity to children to do what they love, they can actually do a better thing for the society.
And when you talk about passion, you need to do what you love and you need to love what you do. But I've heard certain people who come up and say, I've not discovered my passion in life. How would you address this problem?
Definitely, it's a good question. Today, unfortunately, most people haven't still discovered their passion. Passion, I believe, is very much misquoted today. They use everything when it comes to passion. Like some people think a hobby could be a passion, a pastime activity could be a passion. But passion is something very much deep and emotional that has a connection with your young days. So it is good that one identifies one's passion in early life and try to work on it. So how one could identify a passion is by going back to the young days and see an emotional connection that you had doing for the very first time. Maybe it could be a game, a sport, something related to your environment, your culture, and see if you could go back to that days and do that activity. Try it out for a period of 3 months, 6 months, and if you have the inspiration to do it after 1 year, that's a sign that could lead to your passion.
So that's about the self-inspiration, is it? Self-inspiration, and about like doing it by yourself to be motivated. So just want after that, how do you make someone else happy? How do you make someone else motivated? Like how do you transfer motivation from one person to the other person?
Again, self-motivation starts from within. For example, if you are not willing to change, it's not worth doing my maximum to change you.
That's
that
right.
First seed should come from the person within. So once you realize you want to transform your life, then it's a process of discovering what you do good and start pursuing this on a long-term vision. Have a purpose in why you want to do this certain activity. It is the process which people give up. The process where you see the difference between a average talent and a successful talent, because during the process you go through a lot of failures, rejection. You get to know yourself. That's the process that you can actually identify your pros, your cons, your self-discovery. So a lot of people give up during this process. So the first seed comes from within, where you discover yourself and make that mindset change that I want to do something different. I want to add value to the society. I want to make a difference, not just work in a place.
So you think that anyone who has the passion to change the life of another person could do that?
Definitely.
That's interesting. Yes, indeed. And talking about planning your life, you also did mention about it. How do you think we can really plan our life one after the other? Probably sometimes, even though we think that we need to do this next and this next, it doesn't happen that way, and there are so many distresses we need to go through. So how effective do you think the planning can be done?
Good question. This is where one of the P's, which is the plan, or it refers to a strategy. One of the quotes that you could live by is, which was mentioned by Dr. Stephen R. Covey. He said, don't do what is urgent, do what is important. So if you program yourself to do what is important first, the urgent matters can be done later. Prioritizing, and it's managing your goals. So you could have a long-term vision, which is 5 years, then break down the vision into smaller goals. Then the smaller goals can be broke even more to monthly, weekly, daily goals, and do what is important first and focus on the urgency and make it a habit.
So making a habit is the way of being successful and happy in their life. So just want to ask you, are there any methods that people can use? Because sometimes when you say you have to be thinking from the beginning and thinking bright, positive when it comes to negativity, but are there methods some initiative that people can actually accept into their lives?
In terms of
methods,
yeah, they could use the method I use is this 7 P's, where you could start by doing what you love first. Even in a small scale, even if many people believe time is a constraint. But if you know truly this is what you should do, why keep it to do it at a later stage or at retirement? Start doing it in a small scale, even during your part-time, during the weekends. Do it for 1 hour per week. You will see over a certain period there's a change in your life, change in your outlook, in your positivity. That will motivate people around you because you have that positivity inside you. So start discovering what you like to do first, then see whether you have the inspiration to carry it for more than 6 months, 1 year. Then step it up, go into leadership, go into helping others, networking, take more decisions, then you grow yourself. So it starts with that seed where you step in and do the action.
So we're like moving to the most primary points. So our viewers might be like, maybe there are some school kids watching in. So there could be people who actually, some kids, maybe they fail the exam and they think very negatively and they think they're not going to make it throughout their life. So what's your advice for them?
I would say failures are the pillars to success. If you have that ambition to profit from these failures. Because sometimes when you have early challenges, when you have early constraint, you can use that as a motivation by not giving up, seeing that as a pillar to grow. This is how some of the most remarkable individuals, from Michael Jordan to cricketers to sportsmen to businessmen, they have seen failures over and over again. Once when they asked the founder of Walt Disney to define what success is, he said, I cannot tell you what success is, but I can tell you what failure is.
So that's how amazing it is. And also, if I may ask you, now there are certain instances where there are people who keep complaining about certain things. Most of the time when they're given a task, they'll keep complaining about it, and that itself creates another problem for them, I believe. And how do you think we should have that sort of a positive attitude to achieve that little thing that you're supposed to do and move on to the next task? How do you think that can be done?
Again, it comes back to personal responsibility. Many people like to pass the ball. They do not like to take the responsibility. If you're a true leader, the first is within. You should have the guts, the courage to take risks and take the responsibility, so that even the small task, if you fail, learn from that experience and try to grow. Each time you try out a new venture, a new sport, a new activity, new career, use it as a platform for your long-term vision.
All right. So also, like, I would like to ask you about your career. Now, you've been counseling so many people for the last how many years has it been? Maybe 7 years. All right. For this last 7 years, it's been counseling. So, like, how was it like? Has it like ever resulted in anything positive, or has it always been has it been a failure at any time, or has it always worked out properly?
Yeah, I'm more into coaching. I guide a person to transform himself. I do a lot of public speaking coaching where I help them to eliminate the fear inside them. Because I believe fear is something psychological. Because once you get over the fear, you can do things that you love. You can do things that you thought once were difficult. So that is my first hurdle I get them through. From there, I help them to position themselves to do whatever they love. So psychologically, I help them to get over the fear. So I have seen a lot of people who are initially afraid to do things that they like, completely transform themselves and even going to achieve high status in life.
And also, if I may ask you, when it comes to coaching, how do you think you need to really guide a person? You said it is all about removing the so-called fears of a person and making sure that he is able to discover the things that he can do. So how do you think the process is being done, if I may ask you, for any person who are wishing to get coached by you? Probably would certainly would want to know it.
Yes, so like I said, first, once you are ready to make that change, it is from that point we help you to start doing what you like, and then it's a nurturing process. So the nurturing process, for example, if you like to be a singer or a coach or a book writer, first you have to start do the first step. Take that first step, write the first chapter, first page, first chapter. If you're a singer, you have to take that process of going and doing auditions, taking part at competition, then look at the long-term vision. So we help them streamline their career and discover their pros, their cons, and use this to get to the next level.
And when you say that, yes, indeed, a person might say as you need to start off and you need to walk forward doing it. That is very true. But there'll be so many hurdles that comes in between and so many obstacles. And the person will get disheartened at certain moments. And sometimes there'll be terrible situations like we've spoken. How do you think that same motivation can be sustained while moving forward in this journey?
That's a good question, because again, it's the difference between winning and losing is in the process. To convert a talent to make it into a success, it takes, in my theory, it takes 5 years. So generally a lot of people have that inspiration, that passion during the first year, but it is from the second, third and fourth year that you will see, you meet new friends. I call them failure, rejection, fear, and you blossom with them. So like you said, some days you might even not feel motivated, you might lose that inner feeling to go. But if you have the passion deep within you, even you could do a small, even a centimeter per day and keep doing it, you will see results happening by the third and fourth year. If you have that clarity as well as conviction to go all the way. It's always seeing the big picture. You might see hurdles halfway through, but if you have the vision to see the longer picture, that motivation will drive you. It's called, some people call it the law of attraction, law of magnetism. So it drives you towards the last hurdle. For example, I can give you a story where a marathon runner, if he has to run 25 miles, he will be excited for the first 10. He'll manage to the 10 to the 15. By the 17th, 18th, his body is ached. He doesn't have any energy with him to go to the next level. But he keeps doing it, thinking, I'm here not to give up, but to win the race. Once he moves past the 18th, 19th, his body inspires him to go to the 25th. It gets that gut feeling keeps him going. So sometime in life you will be hit with your challenges, but it is how you speak to yourself, how you program your mind, your subconscious, your intuition. So because most winners, they take decision from their intuition or the subconscious. That's a prime difference how you motivate yourself.
Right.
That is very
And also, now different people have different personalities, right? So you have a different personality, Buddhima has different personality, and I have a different personality. So can that personality also be an impact on how you inspire yourself? Can that be like a reason for your
Definitely,
inspiration?
yes. Because like the 5 fingers, each one of us are different. Each one of us have different passions. Sometimes a passion to you can be a crazy thought to another person, but you do it because it is something that brings happiness to you. So when people think about this world, they live in a macro, how to please others, how to satisfy society. But a person who discovers his passion lives for himself. He sees self-motivation. Because once you're satisfied, discovering something that you love to do, you will pursue no matter what others say. So definitely different people will have different likings, personalities, types, and it is during the process even they will discover if they are an extrovert, introvert, more relating to a question, and they can even discover more what type of leadership they are, what are their strengths, what, for example, what time they are more strong, are they a morning person or an evening person. This is all part of the personality, but the passion relates different to each other.
Yes, indeed. And success always leads us to happiness. But let me ask you, do you think that happiness leads you to success?
That's a tricky question, but happiness, what I believe is success. Money doesn't bring you success always, but it is success that brings you money. Many people confuse the two. They go focusing on money. They work all their life, trampling others, doing things by going to the 5th gear. It's called an upstart. But once they reach success, they don't enjoy because they have burnt out. They have worked doing something that they don't love. Rather, it's better to do something that you love, go through the process, enjoy it, so that once you make the fortune, you can enjoy it much better. So it's always first discover what success, then go for happiness, money will follow.
And also, we'll go for a little bit of a more serious situation. Now, there can be people who want to commit suicide. There are people who are planning on doing that. So, for a person who actually planning something serious like that, how do they initiate a self-awareness and a self-motivation in themselves?
Yeah, what I believe is people, when they find life like the end of the road, they feel demotivated within. They don't have somebody close by or somebody that they feel that they can connect to. It is good to find a very strong environment, firstly. If you have a small mastermind that can inspire you, and the people around you, because it said you are the 5 people you are moved with. If you move with 5 negative people, automatically you will be the 6th. So that's the first priority. But talking about your question, many people give up life because they feel that's the end of the road. But if they see it in a different cycle where that is a learning curve to make them a better, because it's the mental toughness that builds. Unfortunately, many people who go looking after money and immediate fame, they lose their track and they cannot face society. They find life as a challenge. But it is this time that a person can reprogram themselves, see this as an opportunity to start a new adventure. The challenge may be hard for the first few years, but it is during the process you can grow as a stronger person. So I would say people who are committing, who are thinking, contemplating suicide, that's the last thing you should do, because life is much broad. Life is much, it's a vast ocean. So it's a thought like that can be changed by programming your subconscious. Change your environment, do something you never thought you did. Try some new sport. I believe when a person starts a suicide, it starts with fear, it could be stress which leads to depression, and it goes into work. So it starts with a small cause where you learn how to overcome fear, learn how to overcome stress, make stress, fear a friend of you. That takes maturity and comes with experience. But what I would say is, if you see this as an opportunity to see something positive, learn from that curves. Even if you have gone through the hardest cycle in your life, see that, okay, I'm going to overcome this. I have that vision to at least help another person. See yourself larger than life. See the way you can inspire another person. That's a small step a person could contemplate.
Right.
Anything is difficult and hard until it is done. Thank you so much for joining in our discussion, Mr. Farill Farook, for coming in for Rise and Shine and making us inspired and motivated in our program.
Yes, we had a very good discussion and a very good session with you today, and thank you so much from me as well, from the entire crew. And with that, we have winded up today's edition of Rise and Shine's Friday's edition. You yourself have a very good day and a great weekend.